Okay, good. Esther says it sounds perfect. Yay!
No,
cheers, Esther.
No, remember, you didn't drink yet.
I know. Because I was waiting for you to talk.
Okay, I'm
Go
talking.
ahead.
This is me talking. So anyway, we are going to give an update on the recipes because I think we selected one that would be the first one we attempt.
Yes.
So keep those coming. We won't do one, maybe, we won't get to everybody's all at once. We'll get it over time.
But keep the recipes coming in. And there are ways that you can send it in a message, either from your computer or from your phone. And right underneath the main picture on the site that you're watching now, there's a blue Shop Now button. And right next to it is that caption, that black caption with a white squiggly line in it. That's what you click to send a message. So you can actually send a message or send a recipe that way. So we thought we would start with recipes. And we have, how many people wrote in? Like 4? I think we have 4 recipes.
5, yeah, something like that.
So
another one pending. Someone said.
See my cute little notepad. Look at how cute for the holidays. So, yes. So Linda wrote in. Thank you, Linda. She wrote in with a recipe for a tasty goat cheese spread.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that really does sound yummy. So, yay. Awesome sound, Andrea. Thank you. Or is it Andrea? I had a friend when I was a little girl whose name was Andrea, and I know usually that's pronounced Andrea, so I never want to assume. That's always like being a teacher in class. Yeah. Hi, Lauren, from Rainy, Arizona.
Pretty much Paul. That's the only way you can say my name.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless somebody says Pool.
Pool.
Yes, so keep the recipes. What else?
So Linda wrote in about the tasty goat cheese spread. Hi, Sandra. And Susan wrote in. Thank you, Susan. She wrote a couple times, actually. She wrote in about an Ask Anything question, which we'll get to. And she also wrote in about a dill Havarti soup.
Ooh.
Havarti cheese. Yeah, that sounds fabulous. Hi, Deborah.
Is she from Wisconsin?
I don't remember. But Mary from Michigan is watching. And Mary wrote in with a question. So, Mary, we'll get to that when we do the Ask Anything section of the broadcast. Carrie wrote in, she's darling. She wrote in with a spinach walnut pasta. And something
sounds pretty healthy.
Very healthy. In fact, spinach and walnuts and the red wine you want to serve with it are 3 of my top 10 foods.
And are we going to do a whole segment on the top 10 foods?
I'm going to, yeah. I'm going to put it on my Get Fit with Judy site.
We should do a cooking show around it.
Maybe this is part of it.
Maybe that's
spinach, walnut, pasta recipe that Carrie sent in. So we'll see if that works. And then Sean, hi Sean, he wrote in with a taco soup recipe, and he actually wrote in with a couple of different ways that it could be prepared. So you could either use a Dutch oven, he said, or a slow cooker, and let it cook for like 6 hours all afternoon. Almost like sounds like a really good chili recipe. Yeah. Yes. So those were the 4 that we got. So we have our work cut out for us. So we're going to try to see if we can get to all of them. Hi, Sue. Where are you from, Sue? Let us know. Write in.
Okay, so the bulk of this show, this is going to be about you. So if you guys don't participate, it'll be a very short show. We said this is going to be, this might be an ongoing segment bi-monthly or something like that.
Okay.
Ask us anything.
Okay. So that's next Judy, on the agenda.
That makes Judy a little nervous. However, we asked you to seed us with some questions that we can ask on behalf of you and answer right now, but we'll try and answer throughout the broadcast. You want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Well, we'll alternate our questions.
Okay. Well, since I mentioned Mary.
Okay.
Mary writes, when you met, did you think it would lead to love and marriage immediately? Since I asked the question, you get to go first with your answer.
Okay.
Hi, Sherry.
So I was the new kid on the block at QVC when I went up there. And I thought everybody was nice, including Judy. And the first, I think, interaction I actually had with her was on the dance floor of the president of QVC's basement.
Ah, how our memories are
different.
And
it was one of those, everybody's doing shout, showing how long ago this was. And Judy sort of went down, we were getting lower, and she sort of fell. So she went and poked me over on the dance floor and other people too.
Because you get way, way, way down on the dance floor. And I did. I fell over. And so I thought, oh my gosh, well, I'm not going to be the only one. So because everybody's down on their haunches and susceptible, and all I had to do was that. And it was like dominoes. Boom, boom.
So
oh my
so
God, I wish somebody had a video.
I wasn't so sure. I wasn't so sure at that point. But then we actually became very good friends.
Hi, Brent. Yes, it was fun. And I'll tell you my version of when we first met.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have said that it was necessarily married love and that it would lead to marriage immediately. We were really good friends for four and a half years before we ever went down that thought process. But we really were good friends, and we always kind of hung around, I think, in the host lounge a little bit longer if we heard the other person's voice over the lockers where all of your personal effects were. But I remember the first time meeting you, and it wasn't at the party. It was when you were first coming in and you were taking a tour of the host lounge. Yeah. And I was with another host, and I remember meeting you, and I walked into one of the dressing rooms. We had beautiful dressing rooms with the lights, all the way around the mirror, and a beautiful desk where you could lay out your makeup and all your cards and do all your studying. And I remember saying to her, I could so go for that. He's really cute. And you just walked out. I didn't know anything about your marital status, your kids' status, your single status, nothing. And she said, down, girl. And it took us 4.5 years to get to that point, or the point that we are now, and deciding that, And I said to you, when we finally did get to that point, and you took my hand for the first time, it was like I felt like I was 16 years old. And I said, what took you so long?
Yes.
And
I said, well, we were just good friends. I didn't want to risk that.
You said high risk,
high reward.
High reward. But yeah, I mean, in relationships where it's like, it's hard to, and especially a work relationship where you can't get away from that person if it has gone sour. So it's probably a good handle.
I also thought she was way too nice for me.
Until you found out that wasn't so true.
I'm not going to tell that part of the story.
Okay, so now it's your turn for a question.
Okay, I'm going to start with an easy one first, and I did answer this online, and someone else answered it online too. But we've been showing you these sunsets, and a question came in and said, "Does it ever get cold in Florida?" And the answer is yes, it does. And we don't have a great sunset every night, but we happen to have had since we started.
Yeah.
But sometimes you might not get one at all. But it will get very cold. And sometimes, especially we live on the water, so if the wind starts whipping up on the water and it's 50 or 40 degrees, it feels like 30 with the wind chill. And we rarely, and I mean rarely, get any snow flurries, but it has happened. But when it does
Since we've been here?
Yes.
Really? Because we've been in Florida now for about 15 years.
Yeah. But when it does get cold, you really feel it because your body adjusts to the summer temperatures here, and when it gets cold, it might feel like it's way below zero to us.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for writing in.
And that, by the way, who asked me that question? That was, I think that was Ellie from Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
Asked that question.
Deborah wrote in kind of on the fly, so I'll take it while I'm thinking about it. She wanted to know if we still forever send out holiday cards, like Christmas cards for the holidays. And we used to do that every year. Well, and then we used to do it every year. And then the season got so busy that I stopped doing it, but I ended up starting a new tradition from us, which was sending out cards to all those people that I received cards from, but I would send them out for Valentine's Day. And that became a really fun tradition that people started to say, oh, I really look for. But what's funny is that some people dropped me off of their Christmas card list because I think they were probably checking off if they got a card, then they would keep sending a card. So even though I was sending them a Valentine's card 2 months later, I was already off the Christmas card list. So
you're done.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is we were traveling so much, and usually in our business, we would be busy around Christmas time and New Year's. So, and plus we did probably our past 2 or 3 Christmases from Colorado.
Yes.
So that was it was kind of awkward for us.
Yeah. Talk about a beautiful white Christmas, though. That was always really fun.
Okay. CJ from Seattle. Unless you had another one that you want to do live.
No, I did Deborah, so I haven't had another one come
CJ from Seattle said, how does Judy influence your designs and how often?
Oh, That's a good question.
It's a very, very good question, because what's interesting and weird about it is that Judy's a jewelry designer, just like I am. And her designs are different than mine. I think hers are more, I would say a little bit more fancy, a little bit more about the metalwork and the what inspires you.
And the oxidation.
Right.
I love the detail of the oxidation. There's a bit of an old world influence and an artisan crafted influence to the designs that I create.
However, I will say that, and of course, for me, the stone's the star, and I'm really stone intensive, and I love the story of the stones. But she affected my designs very early on, and ever since I've never forgotten it. And it was when I bought you. I can say this. It was a David Yurman piece.
Okay.
And it was, and I think first I was going to pick the wrong stone for you.
Oh.
I was going with blue topaz, and you talked me into the citrine of that. So that was number one. But number two, I got her this necklace, and it was too big. I think it was an 18-inch.
Yep.
And
it was back when the circle necklace designs were so hot. The everlasting circle.
So I said, it was a pendant that was in one piece with the chain. So I had to go back to this expensive place and say, I need it to be 16 inches. I said, but I don't want you to throw the rest away. I want you to make an extender, and I've done extenders ever since that time. I realize that people don't want exactly the same length as for everything you wear.
Exactly, because your necklines are a little bit different. The one thing that I would add to the design influence is the stones. While yours may be a little bit more stone intensive, the two of us really like working with the same kinds of stones.
That's true.
So the beauty of that is that when we can get a yield of a particular type of stone, we can have the manufacturer buy that whole yield and then divvy up the material into our two different designs. So it makes it really nice. Obviously, we're using as much as we possibly can of that material, but we really like working with the same looks. My combinations are a little bit different than Paul's. I think his combinations of gems are a little bit more traditional, and mine are really kind of fun out there. Like these were a Joya by Judy Crowell pair of earrings, and we put reds and oranges and purples together. And it works.
That's great.
Yeah. So thank you for the question. Okay.
Your list.
So back to my list. Oh, well, speaking of jewelry, one of the questions from Susan was, will you ever make men's jewelry? She said that her husband has about 100 rings, but he told her he will never have enough. So she wanted to know about that.
Well, absolutely.
And I think this is the same Susan who's also asking another question. What are the differences between Australian and Ethiopian opal? So we'll get to both that in a second.
We'll get to both. The first thing, yes, we will do some men's rings. And we are not as confined as we were being on a channel, because the channels were not doing as much men's jewelry as I would have liked that they did. So there's a couple of things, and especially in rings, and a couple of stones that I think are perfectly suited for men's rings. Colorado Black Moon would be one that would be perfect. Turquoise, always and forever.
Absolutely.
White Buffalo.
Yep.
All of those are things that I would love to work with. Even a pristine.
I was just going to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
So the answer is
that too.
Yes, but if your husband is more particular about certain stones, let us know that too.
If he has 100 rings, maybe he doesn't have a particular stone that he needs. Okay, so now we can talk about the
Ethiopian versus Australian opal. Okay, do you have thoughts on this?
What do you mean thoughts?
Well, on the difference?
Well, from what I experienced in my jewelry line, it seemed that the availability and the beautiful colors that were coming out of Ethiopia were, compared to the recent yields that were coming out of Australia, so much more vibrant and vivid and more colorful. So the quality of the Ethiopian opal is what we're sort of gravitating toward. Yeah,
there's a big difference in price. That's number one. When I first visited Australia, I think it was 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
And I was at the opal fields, and they were finding a lot of material in a place called Lamina Station, and there were probably 150 miners out there at any given time. It also was a place that had the highest incidence of satellite phones on Earth, because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in the driest part of the driest state of the driest continent on Earth. When we went back, it was much less, and now I heard there might be 15 people mining out there.
Wow.
They're not finding a lot of stuff.
No.
But you would have a distinct different yield of Australian opal. It would either be kind of a blue-green play of color, or one that had all the colors, including oranges and yellows and reds. Mm-hmm. And you paid a premium price for that. What I found when we started working with Ethiopian opal, you're right, it had everything.
Yeah.
And it showed better on television than the Australian opal did. And
but even in person, looking down at a ring of Ethiopian opal, it was like a crystal ball. You couldn't stop staring at it because it was mesmerizing. Dawn Kelly asked, is Paul drinking beer?
Yes.
Have you not? Maybe she's not familiar with our tradition. Yeah. So when we start our Sunday Funday shows, we always toast you guys, and we toast each other at the beginning of the show. It's a
Michelob Ultra lime cactus.
Oh wow, fancy!
With prickly pear cactus and lime.
Hi Evelyn, happy Sunday to you too, and cheers to all.
But we're not driving.
No, for sure. Sundays are a nice, relaxing day at home.
Anyway,
okay.
hope that
Let's get back to
question.
The questions.
Yeah. Okay. Is it my turn?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay. This is Amy from Las Vegas.
Okay, and she asks what?
She asks, are gemologists and certified appraisers the same or different? And the answer is yes and no. A gemologist can take many forms. When I'm talking about a certified gemologist or an accredited jewelry professional, those are both different degrees that you get from the Gemological Institute of America, GIA, which is considered the foremost authority on gems in the world today. There are different disciplines that you can study, and you can become a certified appraiser, and that's going to have a different class structure and test to become a certified appraiser. So we have a friend, Tom Elliott, who is one of probably 4 people in the world that is what's called a certified jeweler gemologist. Mm-hmm. They don't even offer that degree anymore. So he does appraisal. He actually started an appraisal company. Mm-hmm. So
and he's a bench jeweler too. So he was able to do any kind of repairing of stone settings or even properly rhodium plating over sterling silver. That was a good question too that somebody asked when we were doing all the jewelry shows during Black Friday week. Is the sterling silver rhodium plated? And the answer is yes. So you'll find that it helps to keep it from tarnishing, and it also gives it a beautiful luster, like almost like a platinum luster on our sterling silver.
Yeah, and rhodium is a very expensive jeweler's metal.
Yes, and I want to say hi to Rebecca and also Judy. And Judy asks a question too.
Okay.
She says, are these non-conflict gems, Ethiopia's on and off wars, also using children? What are your thoughts?
I have many thoughts on this, and I'm really glad that you asked this question.
Judy sent a beautiful picture too of her gorgeous view to us. So thank you, Judy. Is
it okay that I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I have very many feelings about this because obviously you don't want to feel bad about buying a gemstone if it's somehow related to conflict. Mm-hmm. That said, I've also seen people's livelihood get ruined because of the knee-jerk reactions to those kind of things. For example, conflict diamonds. That became a whole big thing about the blood diamonds, conflict diamonds. And the problem is, as long as there have been gems, and people have been mining gems for thousands and thousands of years, there have been people trying to fake gems and take advantage of people. There's also people, like, even during the whole blood diamond conflict, there are people that would just find diamonds from wherever they could get them. They would then ship them to South Africa, which was not a problem with conflict diamonds, and they would certify them as
coming out of
South Africa. So it's almost like you can try and be as responsible as you can. But I will tell you that in most cases, and I'm gonna tell this in my jewelry class. I'm gonna tell you a story about Tanzanite in my class and how that was affected by terrorism, and how I saw people that had no connections to terrorism have their livelihoods ruined because there was it was Al Qaeda that was accused of making money from the Tanzanites. Now, I will also say, whether you're talking about Colombian emeralds or whether you're talking about tanzanite or diamonds or anything else, if there's a way for money to be had, people of questionable reputations are going to find a way to make money with that.
Absolutely.
So my best advice I can always give, find a source you can trust. When we go to a mine, we're usually working right there with the miners. We meet the people. We know them very well. We know they're on the up and up. And if there's something that's not, we don't want to work with them.
Right, right.
But I just wanted you to be aware there's probably a lot more going on than meets the eye. And sometimes it hurts innocent people.